I'm sorry this one's a bit late. It's Horror Nights season. I'm going on Thursdays. So until the end of October, movie reviews are going to be late too. Sorry about that. But Peacemaker Season 2 Episode 4 has dropped on HBO Max. So now let's finally talk about it with spoilers. So of course that is a spoiler warning. If you have not yet watched this episode and you're planning on it, best not to watch this video, because I will be talking about what happens in this episode in detail. If you have watched it or you don't care, then stick around, you are good. So it seems that this season's got a bit of a trend going, where each episode is actually starting off with a flashback. And gotta say, the one that this episode starts off with, I thought was pretty cool too. Cause it's 35 years ago, so back when young Chris and Keith Smith were kids, they're out hunting with their douchebag dad Augie, and they come across this alien that was trying to get back to the portal. So I'm like, okay, this is how the dimensional portal was discovered. Yeah, it wasn't invented by Augie Smith, it was discovered, and pretty much stolen. I guess that makes a lot of sense, it's just crazy. It's good to know though, for sure. The origin of how this all happened for our Peacemaker, and of course it's important information to know for this episode as well. So last week we left off where Argus is coming to attack Chris's home, and Chris was coming back home from the other dimension. But luckily John let Chris know ahead of time, so Argus comes to attack, but Chris Smith and Eagly escape out the back door with the alien case in hand, the one from the flashback. I will say, with John Economos being the conflicted one, as I mentioned last week, I'll say good on him for knocking Red Saint Wild out of the way when he was aiming his gun at Eagly. Yeah, gotta give big props to John for knocking Red Saint Wild out of the way. I love that. He knows where his loyalty lies. And there's also a Peacemaker versus Judo Master fight, which is pretty cool, which Peacemaker ends by just knocking Judo Master out with his full body weight. Nice. So Adebayo comes to get Peacemaker and rescue him. I like the fact that other than Adrian Chase, Vigilante, who's a bit too silly and annoying, Peacemaker sees Adebayo as a true trusted friend, one that he can share things with. I love that, and Danielle Brooks is still awesome in that role. She kills it because she's so damn likable. And well, Chris definitely agrees because he shares everything with her, everything that happened over the past few episodes. The dimensional portal, the other dimension, the Coraline-esque world where everything's better, supposedly. Cause yeah, I've noticed that detail where in that other dimension, I'll touch on this now, there's pretty much just only white people everywhere. No one of color. So yeah, maybe that world is not exactly all it's cracked up to be. Maybe it is Earth X, where the Nazis won World War II. Who knows? But yeah, it seems like Adebayo is in the right here. She's the smart one. She's the Ian Malcolm of this whole thing. Cause she's like, nah man, there's something wrong with that world. I know, I'm smart. But Chris Smith just ain't hearing that, man. And honestly, I can't really blame him. Cause I get it, this world won't give him a break. Argus is after his ass. He's not really seen as the bright, shining symbol of hope that is Superman. At least not in this world. In the other world, he is. So yeah, I can't really blame him for wanting to stay over there. Thus the moral dilemma. It's great. So he opens up the portal from his grandfather's cabin, the one from the flashback, coming full circle now. Meanwhile, back at his house where Argus is, John Economos was stalling opening up the home portal, which was pretty funny. Because he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna hit this switch, because that's what I gotta do. I laughed at that. I chuckled. I thought it was funny. And well, I guess he stalled for long enough, because when that door opens, it just opens into a closet. So good job and props to that. To which Rick Flag Sr. is like, fuck! Alright. Plan B. He goes and pays Amelia Harcourt a visit. And this is actually a really good scene, because he comes and visits her just as a friend, really. He knows that she was close with his dead son. We saw that last week in the 3rd episode. So he just kind of saunters in all like, you can call me Rick. See, that's the cool thing about Frank Grillo, you know? Is that he's so charming in that big, gruff kind of way. It's like, I don't know whether to be scared by him or swoon at him. Probably both, if I'm being honest. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. He's talking to Harcourt, and we know that she's still looking for work since she was fired from Argus, which I actually just realized she was let go from Argus even though John Economos was not, even though they were both guilty of the same thing, working with Peacemaker back in season 1. But yeah, basically Rick Flag Sr. offers Amelia Harcourt a second chance. She can get back into the US government's good graces by joining his cause against Peacemaker. And so pretty much without hesitation, she's like, okay. Damn, Harcourt, you cold! Seriously, I mean, I get the beef, I do, especially since what we learned last week. But come on, man. Hopefully she can have some kind of redemption or something towards the end of this season. I don't know. Or maybe not, since she might find out that Chris is smashing some alternate universe variant of her. Yeesh, I don't know, guess we'll see. Also, of course, gotta mention in this scene with Rick Flag Sr., he mentions Pecolistan. That is a Creature Commandos reference. When he's talking to Harcourt, he's like, yeah, we both disobeyed direct orders from Amanda Waller before. Me and Pecolistan, you and Cordo Maltese, which is the Suicide Squad. But I'm just glad that Picola and Creature Commandos was actually like referenced here. Goes to show you, yeah, see, Creature Commandos is in fact a legit installment and title in this DC Universe franchise. And I'm glad I watched it and reviewed it. And so when Peacemaker texts Amelia Harcourt, she basically just sees this as an opportunity to lead him into what I'm pretty sure is gonna be a big trap, an Argus ambush, which I'm sure is gonna lead into the big interrogation scene between Rick Flag Sr. and Chris Smith that we saw in the trailer. I'll be honest, that's been one of the scenes I've been looking forward to the most in this entire season. That confrontation, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens between the two of them. So I'm excited to see and talk about that next week, because we see in the preview for next week's episode that that's when that's gonna happen. So I'm excited. And also this episode ends with a pretty crazy scene with Red Saint Wild. Yeah, like I predicted last week, this is where we get to see the scene where he uses his big mystical powers and a feather from Eagly to identify where Eagly is. Pretty crazy shit from one Mr. Cultural Appropriation. So yeah, in the end, this episode is a pretty short one. It's an interim episode. You know, not a lot of big action. It was the setup for what's happening next. Which, hey, now I understand sometimes episodes like this are necessary for the sake of the storytelling narrative. I'm just saying I don't think this episode in particular is gonna go down as anyone's favorite from this season. But it was still a good one though, and I'm still enjoying this season of TV overall. Just know that I'm especially excited for next week. So, Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 4, need I say, Door? Have you watched it yet? What are your thoughts on it? And what are your theories and or predictions for next week's episode? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now if you'll excuse me, dude, have you seen that Super Mario Galaxy movie announcement? I gotta watch that video again and again, cause, I mean, well, I do have a hot take on it. I won't say it here, but I posted about it on my Twitter. You can read it there. But I definitely got some thoughts. Peace!